Our second opening, and it's also our air shaft, the fan outside, and this ventilates the mine in this area. Now there's a fan outside, ventilates the mine, and it produces about 22,000 cubic feet of air per minute. Also, we can take everyone out this way. If there was no other way to get out and we were down here trapped, we have an elevator that comes down on the inside of the pipe. We can put 3 people on at a time and take your ride straight up to the surface, 250 feet straight up. Now this was put in just for the tours. This was not part of the regular mine. This was one of the first things we did when we started to reopen this mine for tourism, was to get a second opening and also a means of ventilation to work and to get this place opened up like an active mine. If we did not have this, we would not be able to bring people down, and we wouldn't be able to work down here to restore this into a tourist attraction. It was done back in 1978. It took about 8 months to drill, and the cost was over $180,000 at the time, which was very cheap today. Today it would be in the excess of $1 million to drill this hole. After the hole was drilled, you can see that big pipe put in there. That pipe is an actual piece of the Alaskan pipeline purchased for this job to case this hole so that the hole is completely cased with steel. But just imagine that pipe coming from Alaska filled with oil. Don't we wish we had that today, huh? Our gasoline prices would be a lot cheaper, wouldn't there? But anyway, this is our second opening, and it's also our fan. This is what a car of coal had to look like before it was sent out to the surface. Notice how the chunks of coal are piled on top of this car. This was called topping a car. Now, whenever you loaded a car underground, you had to top it off with large chunks of coal, like you see right here. If you failed to do that, you were given 3 days off without pay the first time. If you did it a second time, you were fired with no questions asked. The purpose of the topping was an extra ton of coal in each car. More profit for the companies, but more work for the poor men. At any rate, it had to be done, and when it was done, each car was held about 5 ton. So each car held about 5 ton of coal. Now, if you had 2 men working together, they had to load 6 cars. 3 men working together, 9 cars. 3 cars per man. So just imagine loading 3 of these cars yourself. 2 guys working together, they had to get 6 cars. A lot of work, a lot of shoveling, a lot of swinging, a lot of breaking the chunks. And once the car was loaded, you put your tag on it. It was a brass tag that had your number on. And when that car got outside, you got credit for it. That was your car because you had your number on. If you didn't put your tag on, you didn't get credit for the car coal. The mines were like any other industry. They were very political. Years ago, the mine foreman, if he had a nephew or somebody that he wanted to give a car of coal to, he might steal a car from you, steal a car from the next guy, steal a car from the other guy. There's his 3 cars. If you said anything or complained about it, he'd say, if you don't like the job, go somewhere else. You knew there was no place else to go, so you'd put up with it. On any given day, you might load 1 or 2 cars extra for, say, the foreman's nephew or maybe his son. So the mines were like any other industry, very political at the time. Sometimes you had to get, you had to know somebody to get a job, even to get a job in the mine. It was very difficult to get in because I said all these people coming from Eastern and Southern Europe. So if you had a drag or if you knew someone, you might get in. Otherwise, you had to get in line every day and hope somebody would get injured or killed and you could fill in their spot. So it was very difficult to get a job. And once you got that job, you made darn sure you didn't lose it because it was the only way to put food on your table. No compensation, welfare, insurance, anything like we have today. We're very lucky today that we have these things. And even though the world is a tough place to live today, it was probably a little better than it was in these days. You have to wonder though. Now this is called a dead chute. They called it a dead chute because it did not move. And what it was a simple stationary gravity chute. Galvanized metal bottoms, boards on the side. The men would go up and drill and blast the coal, throw the coal down the chute, it would slide down, dump into the car parked underneath. Down here was another man called a topper. He would top off the cars with the chunks of coal, and when the car was full, he would send it out. Now this topper had such a dusty job when this coal flew down, You could barely see his hand in front of his face. And even out at the end of the day, all you could see was the whites of his eyes and the whites of his teeth. Just imagine the dust he was breathing in. Coming down here every day, working in the dust, and not only the dust, the smoke. When they use black powder, tremendous amount of black smoke from that. So all of that, they were breathing in constantly every single day. Very hazardous to their health. Plus the arthritis and all the other injuries that came along as well. Going up. Took through about 1.5 million people already.